If you want to grab our men's lifestyle supplement and male advantage ebook, all links are in the bio. The perfect male timeline. The exact system that you can follow step by step to have the best possible life as a man. There's so much as men that we want to accomplish, so much that we want to be good at all at the same time, but so little time in order to do that. I'm going to take you through each single age category bracket and show you what you should be doing at each specific time. Okay guys, welcome back to another video. In this video, we're going to be breaking down the perfect male timeline, what you can do to live the perfect male life, how you can have the most out of your life at each given time period or category. This is something that really gets me going. It's something that, to be honest, the book, The Male Advantage, was written around this whole concept, and that's what the whole book is about, is step by step, doing the right things at the right time to have the perfect male life. Like it's a blueprint laid out by myself of how to go from A to Z and do it in the most efficient manner and have the best possible life along the way without missing out or looking back and regretting that you should have done this at this time and this at that time. I truly believe that male life is all about timing, and that's exactly what I'm going to break down for you here. So to begin with, and just note, guys, that these ages aren't concrete, okay? A lot of these ages they're guidelines. You might not follow this specifically, but this is what I believe is the perfect scenario. So, to begin with, from 16 to 25, I think it should all be about learning, failing, and figuring out your purpose. I think if you're 16 to 25 and you're worried about not being successful or being behind the curve, etc., it's so silly because there's so much time ahead of you. Like, you can get to 25 and feel old, but in reality, somebody who's 40 would swap places with you in a heartbeat and they still feel young. So until you get to these ages, you cannot appreciate how young you were. If you can just get that inside you at a young age and just understand that you are stupidly young, like wildly young, it's ridiculous. And just appreciate that you have time to fuck up. You have time to test. You have time to fail and learn and then try again and come up with a new idea, or dedicate 3 years to something that doesn't end up working, and then you come up with something new. And 2 years on that and it doesn't work and you come up with something new, and then you go, oh, it took me 5 years, but I finally found my purpose. And you're only like 26 years old at that point. Like, I don't think that's the worst thing in the world to do. But so many guys will panic and say, I've wasted all this time. I could be hit. Look, you don't need to be a 25-year-old millionaire. You don't need to be a 30-year-old billionaire. It's so rare. Barely anybody does it, okay? You might see one athlete. You might see one guy on TikTok who's done it. It's not the majority of the world's population will be pretty broke until they're 40. You have so much time, okay? And as a man, we peak later in life, so there's no need to worry about, am I going to lose my youth? I want to be rich and good looking and young at the same time. Like, as long as you hit the gym, you take care of yourself, which we'll get to later, this is something that you'll be able to do with ease, okay? So that's 16 to 25. Now, we move into the second bracket here, and that is 25 to 35, okay? And there's going to be an overlap in a minute. But I truly believe for the best possible male life that you can ever live, from 25 to 35, you need to pretty much give up women, the majority of your social life. You need to have an exact routine and stick to it for 10 years. Be dedicated to one idea and give everything into it. And it's either your 9-to-5 job, it's either your business, it's either your portfolio that you're managing every single day, or, you know, some level of investment, okay? But whatever you do, that needs to be 10 years of graft, just dedicated to that one single thing. So for me, it's 1STMAN, it's the business. For you, it might be rising up to become MD of a large company. You know, you might want to rise up to a top level management job with a 6-figure salary, and you think, once I get there, I'm made. Okay, so that might be it for you, and it might take 10 years in order to get there. It could be saving all your money and investing in certain properties, and then going on from there and building a portfolio for 10 years and dedicating nothing but all your energy and time and money into that. But At this stage, 25 to 35, you have to understand, guys, when it comes to, so we started with the three I've got in here, let me say, is success, fitness, and I think fitness more so as a bulk, because I think losing body fat is easier to do. I think building the muscle and getting big, especially when your bone and muscle mass peak at 30, I think this is such an important time to put some mass on and not get as big as possible, but just build a man's physique, okay? Because at 25, most men look like little boys. You start hitting weights by 30, 35, whatever, you have a man's body, okay? You're packed out, and young men don't understand how powerful it is to just have a man's body, to just stroll into any room and just feel like, it sounds weird, but you could beat anybody up in that room. It gives you massive confidence. Other people believe in that you're the strongest individual in the room mentally and physically just based on appearance, which could be wrong. It could be some skinny boxer that can just clean you out, but you have that instant respect, and it just makes you feel more confident, makes you feel more powerful. You kind of fulfill your natural male role of being the, whatever term you want to use. If you want to use outlier male, if you want to use alpha male, whichever works. It both works in a size and fitness sense. But you just stroll in and you're padded out and you look good. It makes a big difference. And you could just be a big stocky guy all the way up to 35 and then cut some of the body fat. I don't necessarily recommend that. I recommend doing that up to around about 30, but not everybody starts at the same time, if that makes sense, guys. But I definitely think fitness, but more so in a bulking sense. If you could do both, please tick that box. Get big and get lean and do it all at once. But I definitely think just adding some size to your frame is more important. So, and the third one is investing. Okay, so that was the three that were in this category. But in terms of success, in this 10-year bracket, guys, this is what I mean. You're going to have to give up nights out. You're going to have to give up dating women. The majority of the time, if it lands on your lap, if there's like a straight 8 out of 10 and she's like, want to come back to my place right now, like, you're going to waste like 2 hours of your life. Go and do it, because that opportunity might not pop up for another year or whatever. You don't know, right? So go and do it, but don't go out searching for it, is what I mean. Don't go into a club every Saturday night looking for a shag, and then on Sunday you're out on the street looking for women trying to get numbers. Just let it come to you. If it comes to you, then, if it's effortless, if there's somebody sat opposite you and you're chatting, then, it's different. But don't go and put all your resources, your money and your time and your effort into chasing women that aren't going to benefit your own life, okay, outside of pleasure. And that long term, they're going to cause you more pain because you haven't furthered your own life. So that's what I mean in terms of success. Just every hour that you can spare, every single ounce of energy, every single weekend needs to go on whatever your success is. Every single bit of money needs to go back into your business, okay, or back into courses to make you more qualified for your 9-to-5 job so you can rise up, or investing into your crypto portfolio or into your property portfolio. Or I'm doing a video on something soon which is about alternative property investments. I think you guys are going to love that, because everyone thinks I'll buy a house, I'll rent it out and I'll be rich. It's not the world's best strategy, and I'll show you why. But the second one, like I said, fitness, the bulk, I've broke that down. The next one, like I said, investing. This doesn't necessarily mean that that's your job, okay? So you might have a 9-to-5 job, but you also invest money. You might have your own business, but you also invest money. You might reinvest that back into the business in time, money, effort, whatever it might be, energy. But also, I think even if you've got a business, like I have 1STMAN, but I invest in stocks, I invest in crypto, I invest in properties. I think it's very wise to do that rather than spending it on, let's say, you've got a house, you go and get a mortgage and you've got a business. I just don't think that's the best idea ever for the best possible male life. I think when you're planning long term and you see the benefits of being at the top of the game at like 35, 40, I think that outweighs trying to be top dog at 28, So I think put everything back in as much as you can. Now, quick reminder, that's from 25 to 35, okay? And here's the overlap. So on the next one, number 3, this is from 30 to 35. So 5 years into that grind, and this is how I split it, is it's 5 years of having, I'm doing the same right now, it's 5 years of having, and I'm slowly coming out of it because I think I'm ahead of the curve. and I'm trying to improve it more. But it's 5 years of no decent clothes. It's 5 years of not dating any women, not seeing any women, basically. Not necessarily seeing them, but, not seeing them in that capacity. It's 5 years of maybe cutting your own hair to save money. It's 5 years of not going out for a single weekend and dedicating to your business. Like, that's what I mean. So when you get to 30 and you have built something fucking special at 30, okay, with the overlap, so your success is still going to go on for 5 years after that, your pursuit of success. But at the halfway point of 5 years, you might start sleeping better. Like, that first 5 years is military, right? You're doing 5 hours of sleep, dedicate to your business and nothing but fitness. You're just grinding on these two things. You might sleep a little bit more for fitness purposes, but you are dedicating every minute, hour, second, like whatever it might be. But then in the second half of those 5, we introduce stuff like better skin, okay? Start taking care of your skin, your hair if you've got it, your beard hair, etc. You start taking care of low body fat. That becomes a massive priority for you to keep testosterone high. You try and get it down to 10% or below. I think health is so important once you get past 30, and that's why I think, because in your 20s you can get away with maybe, I wouldn't recommend this, but worst case scenario, you could have a shit diet, get to 30, and you're bulked, you've been hitting the gym, but you've had a shit diet, shit lifestyle, you're not sleeping well. At 30 you've got to change that, because you will age and lose energy very quickly. Now the next one is to become more well-rounded. So as I said, you're prioritizing success, fitness, and investing in those first years. Once you get to 30, I think it's important to start learning languages, start working on yourself, to start incorporating fashion, let's say, into your look and be like, okay, I'm going to start dressing better. I'm going to start, like I said, skin and stuff like that. It's something I'm trying to incorporate now and become more well-rounded, because I feel like the other two I've done, I've got them up to a level where they're easier to push forward now. I've gone up that mountain and I'm coming down the other side. It's a lot easier with momentum. But this is where you become more cultured. Maybe you travel once per month or something. You go and see the world a bit. You just become a better individual. You go and learn different things outside of just success, fitness, whatever. You become a better person, okay? And I think this is a good time to do it. And finally, I think you take 1 or 2 days per week off once you hit 30. Now, personally, I'd probably do 1, maybe none, because I might have the streaming platform, and that kind of feels like I'm taking a day off, because I might be flying to Paris or something and filming, being on set. That doesn't feel like work. It feels easy. But for the average person, I think if you are dedicated to a 9-to-5 job and for 5 years you were like working weekends to get yourself up, you were investing in properties and then doing them up, you might want to start taking 1 day off a week, because guys, adrenal fatigue, chronic fatigue, whatever you want to call it, hypothyroidism, I've suffered from all of them. And it came from just working too hard and just being on... I'm making a video on this soon as well. I'm not a huge fan of the early years of Gary Vee, the early years, Dan Pena, the way he is now, the early years of like Grant Cardone. Now, I've said in this thing that you should do 5 years like that, where you dedicate nothing but that kind of lifestyle to what you're doing. But I'm not a fan of the way that everything they do in the early days, but Dan more so now, is more about, like a lot of these success gurus, they'll say, hustle and grind, get 2 hours of sleep per night. If you're sleeping, you ain't working. Like, shut up, man, shut up. What are you talking about? Like, you look like shit. You're just some fat slob. Do you know what I mean? It's like, we want to actually have a life too, to blend with this. And that's why I think it's so important to get to a certain age and be like, okay, I'm going to start adding stuff to my life. If you did do 5 years flat out on a business, investment, job, whatever, you're going to be in a much better position, okay? And then the next 5 years, you do 6 days a week, but you take 1 day off a week. You're still going to get massive momentum, okay? You're still going to be in an unbelievable position, but you're taking 1 day off a week for yourself if you choose to, okay? So you don't have that shame anymore of, oh, I've got to hustle, I've got to grind. Because I'm telling you now, a lot of these success gurus, they're not doing what they say they're doing. I work 7 days a week, 27 hours a day. It's like, shut up. You're such a dick. Like, you're not doing that. You're just doing it for the views. You're doing it for the likes. I hate all that shit. Just be honest. Be like, yeah, I took a Saturday off. I was absolutely knackered. There's no shame in that. But they think Like, ever since my bulk ended, I took like 2 days off. I haven't done a video for 2 days. I haven't trained for 2 days. I just wanted to relax. I just wanted to get my energy back, restore everything. You know, because then when I come back, I can be ready to go. And like, the training is not going to change, okay? My diet's changed. I'm going to have less calories, but my training is not going to change. If I don't take a break, I'm just going to be deflated. You know, so I've gone for a couple of walks. I've relaxed. I put my feet up. I've made a couple of notes. I've watched a few TV shows. There's nothing wrong with doing that, guys. And but I think you've got to do it in a balance. You've got to do it at the right time. That's what I mean. Timing is important. I've released 2 products this year, and my third one's about to come out. I'm exactly where I wanted to be, if not further ahead than where I wanted to be. I'm gaining 2,000 subscribers per month on YouTube. My website is back up to a huge amount of traffic per month. Like, things are moving forwards. I'm in the shape I want to be in at this exact point in my life. I take a couple days off. You know, I might take 1 day off every week, starting next year, depending on what happens with my business. At the moment, I love it so much, I want to do 7. But it's important to know that. I don't like this hustle and grind, 8 days a week, 25 hours a day. Yeah, maybe for 5 years, but you know what you're going to do? Get to 50 and be like, I'm going to keep working. You're just going to die. You're just going to die early and be stressed. Like, I've done it, guys. I've done it. I've done those years. I did it from like probably 21 to like 25. I burnt out 2-3 times. I didn't have any energy. I got depressed to the point I was stood on the top of high buildings. Like, this is what, years ago. I was like probably 22, 23. Like, I was massively depressed, and it wasn't just from business. It was life getting on top of you. But that's when I realized, like, people say to me, why can't you do success, fitness, and skin all at the same time? Well, if that's all you do, maybe, you know, but most of us have other things going on. You might have a 9-to-5 job, plus you want to do success and fitness. Well, now, like, other things can't come into play. Well, it's a little skin routine. It's just 20 minutes every morning, every night. Okay, well, if you're dedicating to success and fitness in a 9-to-5 job as much as possible, as well as house chores, you might not have 40 spare minutes a day. It might become more of a chore. Okay, maybe you can keep up with that. But then it's the cost. Okay, a decent skincare routine is maybe £100 a month. With the food that comes with it and 8 hours of sleep per night, it's tough. It's very tough. And that's why I think every single penny, even if it's £20 on a haircut every week and £50 on a skin routine, £70 a week, that's manageable. Yeah, but at the end of the year, when you've missed out on an extra £1,200, at quick maths, I don't know if that's correct, £1,200 going into your business or your investment or whatever you want to do, like £1,200 in Ethereum right now would probably get you about 1.2 Ethereum coins. If that goes up to like 20,000 in the next couple of months, whatever, that skincare routine wasn't really worth it. Do you see what I mean? There's so many little opportunities where a small amount of money can actually fire you up to the top, and it can mean a lot. And that's why I think it's so important to have that balance of doing things at specific times. But that's what I mean, guys. 25 to 35 is all about success, fitness, and investing. And then from 30 to 35, so it's an overlap, okay? It's important to remember, because I think don't get to 30 and still be working like a mule. I think you need to have 1 day, because 30 is when a man's life starts and it begins. So I think going out on a Saturday and going out for like one meal with like friends, or maybe taking a girl out every Saturday or something like that, I don't think it's the worst thing in the world to do as a blend. I think that is work-life balance, as long as you put in 5 years prior and you've built up a massive amount of momentum. Now, if you started your business at like 18, you're lucky. You know, you can put 10 years and then do all the other things. But this is a rough guideline, because most men don't have their lives figured out by 25. They don't know what they want to do. They don't know their life purpose. I've said before, you know, women can get pregnant. Bang, there we go. You got a purpose. For a man, it's impossible. You got to really figure this shit out, and you don't know because you're young and everyone's putting pressure on you. It's very hard to do, but this system seems to work, in my opinion. Now, something else I want to add to this as well, from 30 to 35, is assets. I think when you get closer to 35, but I think if you want to buy like a car and a house and things like that, I think this is the time to do it. You know, a lot of guys will do it at 25. I think if you do it 10 years later, after you've built that business, after you've taken care of your body, you put everything in place and you have a bit of spare income. And I'm talking, when I say a bit of spare income, I'm talking if you've got 200 grand in the bank and you put 30,000 down on a mortgage and you put 20 grand into a car. You know, I don't think that's too unreasonable if you're making like 10 grand a month. I think that's manageable, okay? I'm not saying if you've only managed to make 50 grand at that point and then you go and blow it all on a house and a car, that's silly. You know, do it reasonably. But if you followed this system, you might be in a decent position where at 35 you can start adding assets to your life, okay? And that's why I think becoming more well-rounded, like, as much as I don't think property really matters and I don't think a car matters, I think you can live without them. And I actually think if you want massive success, you should just live without them, okay? I was talking to this guy the other day on 1STMAN, and he was saying that he wanted to move out of his parents' house because he felt like he was coming, I think he was 30. And he was saying, I think he was coming up to 30, and he was like, do I need to get my own place? Like, I want to sleep with women, I want to bring them back to my place. That's not unreasonable, okay? I actually agree with him. It's a nice feeling to be that, you know, that male purpose that I keep banging on about. You will fulfill that. When you've got your own place and it's nice and you're proud of it and you've got a nice car, you go and pick up like a smoking hot 8 or 9. You go out for a meal, you drive her back to your place, she's impressed, you have sex, whatever, you cook breakfast the next morning, or you go out somewhere. You feel like the man. That's your natural purpose. Every man should experience that, okay? You shouldn't have to sacrifice that. And that's why I think if you'd started at 25 and you give 5 years into that grind, by the time you go into your 30s, from 30 to 35, you will have a better understanding on when you can do that. Now, it might be 33, might be 34, might be 35. Whenever you've got enough money within that bracket, I think it's okay to go and get that property, to go and get that car or whatever, and start bridging out in your life a bit more. The reason it's great at that age is 35 is like the start of the male advantage, like the male peak. Now, if you've got a house and a car and you're looking the best you've ever looked, you're successful, you're earning good money, you're in the best shape you've ever been, you know, take advantage of it. You only get one life, right? You want to sleep with the most beautiful women or the most attractive men, depending on what your sexual preference is. But you want to enjoy yourself a bit. You want to walk down the road and have women looking at you and women chasing you. That's a nice feeling, or men chasing whatever. Don't avoid that. You know, enjoy it. Don't feel ashamed about, oh, you know, I was watching this video and these success influencers were saying, no, you have to work 24/7, sacrifice everything for your whole life, die alone. It's like, you know, die a virgin so that you can be a billionaire and be a freak like Mark Zuckerberg. Like, no, I don't want to do that. Nobody wants to do that, okay? I would rather have 20 million as my net worth and be sleeping with beautiful women, going around the world, you know, having decent assets, some nice toys, like a nice car, and have a good life, like with my friends, going and watching Champions League games on a Wednesday night in Paris or Barcelona, going out for a couple of drinks and some meals, hitting the gym. That's fun. I'd rather have that than be like a billionaire that doesn't have a life, okay? Just sits there working all day, dedicated. Like, it's weird. I'd rather have a better blend. As much as people say, I want to be the richest man in history, I want to be at the top, I want to succeed. Yeah, well, sit there at 70 and tell me how much fun that was, because I think you can have a lot more fun with less. But, you know, success and stuff is massively important. I think it's the most important thing in a male life because it opens doors. Just don't overdo it. Don't overcook it. Now, from 35 to 50, this is why I believe you should cement your wealth. You will get a second wind, okay? So you might have enjoyed yourself. You might have been sleeping with a couple of women, etc. You're enjoying your time with friends, and you can still do that. And you might still take a day or two off per week. But what you have now is momentum. The reason I suffered from stuff like adrenal fatigue when I was younger is because I didn't have the money coming in. Okay, when the money started coming in, it was easier. But when you're working 24/7 for free, yeah, it can weigh on you. It makes you feel like shit. When you're not meeting women, yeah, it can make you feel like shit. When you've not got employees, it can make you feel like shit. At this point, when you are maybe MD of a company, you have 6 properties under you paying you back every month, you have your own business and it's making 20 grand a month, it's easier to put the time in because you're like, well, I'm getting rewarded with money in return. Okay, and then you drive home in your nice car to your nice house. It's a lot easier to get up at 5 a.m. and be motivated than it is when you're waking up, let's say, in your mum's basement and you're like, God, I got to figure this shit out. Everything's bad right now. Everything's tough. Everything's hard. It's a lot easier to do. So I think at 35 to 50, you don't have to work necessarily massively hard, but just make smart decisions. Let your employees work for you. Let your money work for you, and just cement that wealth so that you know, going into your later years, you'll never have to go back to a 9-to-5 job. You'll never have to, you know, you could retire early if you're the MD of a company and you've managed to whack away $250,000 in bonuses every year for the last 5-10 years. Like, that's that's it, okay? You can put your feet up then. And I just think there's a time period to really cement your wealth and really, dig in. And like I said a minute ago, guys, because this was 30 to 35 prior, now from 30 to 35, from 35 to 50, I think now is the time to really start living your life. This is the time to take 3 holidays a year. This is the time to maybe meet a woman, settle down, have a family, start thinking about these things. This is the time to take maybe a day off in the week if you're tired and you want to go and do something and you have a lot of money in the bank and you just think, I want to go and enjoy myself. I want to go and see the world. I want to go and celebrate this. Oh, it's my birthday. I'm going to take it off. It's Christmas. I'm going to take 2 weeks off. I think that is the time to do it and start living a more normal life like everybody else. Because you might, by that point, you might have, let's say, 10 million in your bank account. Still money going to be coming in, or you might have, let's say, 1 million in your bank account. You're earning 100 grand a year from a job. There's still money coming in, but you can enjoy yourself more. You can put your feet up and think, I've nailed something here. I've made a life for myself. I'm in a great position. And I just think it's so important to do that. Because if you don't do that, what are you going to do? You're not going to have a life. You're going to go from, let's say, 25, you dedicate to your business. You realize I want to be successful. You get to like 55 and you're like, I'm finally a billionaire. Yeah, but you're 55. Okay, you might still look good. You might still be in shape, etc. But you've sacrificed the best years of a man's life from 30 to 50, that 20-year bracket. I just think it's important to get to the end of your life, look back and be like, I did everything with perfect timing. I used my male advantage correctly. Like, I want you all to be billionaires, okay? I want you to all be as successful as you possibly can. I want you all to make as much money and have the perfect life. But at the same time, I always say to you guys, don't let the male advantage pass you by, in the sense of work hard when you're young to set yourself up for it so that when you get to the male advantage, you can actually enjoy it. And I really mean that. Because what I don't want is I don't want people to be like 62 years old going, I worked hard all my life and now, what have I got to show for it? One of those disgruntled old men that's like, great, I'm 62 years old, I worked all my life, I'm a billionaire, but now I'm in poor health, my heart's failing, I've got, multiple illnesses and I've got a full-time carer. And you're like, what was that all for? You didn't get to have a family. You didn't get to fly around the world. You didn't get to have, unless it was business trips. You didn't really ever switch off. You're now regretting not stopping at like 35 and enjoying yourself a bit more. Or getting to 30 and not taking a Saturday off every single week just to freshen your mind up and be like, life's for living, not just working. And I just think that's the perfect system. So as a recap, 16 to 25, learn, fail, figure out your purpose. From 25 to 35, success, fitness, and really focus on building that muscle and that size and that bigger frame and invest. Now 30 to 35, so the overlap, I think you should start taking care of stuff like skin, low body fat, health, more well-rounded assets, take 1 or 2 days off per week. 35 to 50, I think you should cement your wealth with that second wind where that money's coming in. It's easier to work and get things going. You can get the same sort of things done in 2 minutes compared to fucking 20 years. It's so easy once you got money. Start living your life and maybe start focusing on the family stuff. I think that's the perfect system, guys. If you want to grab our men's lifestyle supplement and male advantage ebook, all links are in the bio.